coordination. All right, it's Cigar Saturday Live. I'm Tom Fisher, Matty Rock there at Sanja's in New Jersey. What's it looking like tonight in New Jersey?
What's up there, brother? Hello, ladies and gents. So far,
yes,
as we were talking about, we got the storm of brewing. So it's on its way. I think probably we will, where I live at, we'll miss most of it. If it comes up here, it'll probably be a tropical depression by the time it hits up here. But, fingers crossed for my guys out in Long Island and parts of Connecticut. So when it hits there, it's going to be probably a sub 1 or a tropical depression. So tropical, we're keeping our eyes on it.
better be keeping your eyes on it. We are going to bring our special guest on here in just a moment.
Right
Chef Dylan Benoit from Food Network Canada and also from the Cooking Channel. He's a host of a very popular show, especially in Canada. You may have heard of it. It's called Fire Masters. A lot of great barbecue friends compete. Quite a few probably that we know, Matty, from the USA.
One of our good buddies just shot me a text on it too. Mr. Shad Bates, what's up there? Shad is very, very excited for this.
All right.
So
Shad, very good.
Coffee guy, food god, it's a cool thing, right?
Yeah, all the great things. Coffee, smokes, whiskey. He also has a butcher shop in the Grand Cayman Islands. And I'll let you know when I see him. He's going to be in the waiting room. But for now, I'll tell you, I was really trying to plan something out to be very apropos. When I saw Matty in Nashville, he gave me a couple pork bellies. That's what I'm smoking here. The Liga pork belly. There's not many of these made, right?
All played, brother. Yeah. So it's kind of for one store that's out there. Look it up online, folks, for those who want to order directly from the shop. And to me, it's like a little baby Liga 9. So it's got that Maduro profile on it. I particularly love the size, kind of like a short Corona little torpedo, if you will. Love it. Everything about it. I like the draw. And again, the configuration on that stick.
Yeah.
With the Maduro wrapper. Again, I'm a Maduro whore, as I am smoking an Undercrown Dogma today. So keeping my Maduro whorish self,
Yes.
place, but definitely check out.
Yeah. So again, we're very pleased and honored to welcome to our show. It's Chef Dylan Benoit, host of Fire Masters, writer, entrepreneur, chef, so much more. How's it going, Dylan?
What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
Yeah, it's great to see you. You're in. Are you in Canada right now?
I am. Yes, I'm in Cambridge, Ontario. So just about an hour outside of Toronto.
All right. Well, Dylan, it's great to have you. This is Matty Rock, and of course, I'm Tom Fisher. And everybody watching, if you're a fan of Fire Masters, we have the one and only Dylan Benoit, the host of Fire Masters. Ask your questions down below. Tweet them to us. Are you going to be lighting up or sipping on anything with us here?
I am indeed. Yes, I actually just brought my sticks out. Sorry, there's a bit of. Can you guys hear all this noise in the background?
It's a little. It's not too bad.
Okay, cool. I'm staying at a hotel and there's some kids playing basketball right next door to me here. So
Dunk on them and you show them who the boss is. That's how you start this.
It's about 6, maybe 10-year-old girls, so I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, that's great. What do you have there?
So I've got a little Hoyo Epicure Especial, little Cuban treat. And then I was unable to find some decent bourbon, unfortunately, in the town that I'm in. But I did get some Japanese whiskey, some Suntory whiskey. So I figured that was still acceptable, even though this is the bourbon blog.
Yeah, no, we love the Suntory. And Dylan, I'm going to send you some bourbon real soon. I meant to before the interview, but you found something good. I was saying, as you right before you came on, I was trying to find something on the barbecue chef side that I thought would be very appropriate, and I got one of the pork belly cigars Matty got for me. Amazing.
That's cool.
At your DM, chef, so when you get a chance, give me an address so I get you a bunch of stuff over to puff on.
That'd be great. I'd love that. I'd love that very much.
The pork belly, and I'll also have to say I was trying to dig into for barbecue and chefing what would be the right fit, and we love this brand called Peerless Bourbon and Rye.
Okay.
And they named their single barrels after what they taste like. And I have one called Low and Slow because it has barbecue flavors. So,
Cool.
So we're
That's
getting
very
all
cool.
in the mood for a nice Fire Master barbecue meats, all things grilled conversation.
Awesome.
So we have viewers everywhere. We have a lot of viewers that know already. They've been talking about. They watch your show on Cooking Channel. This is one of the biggest shows in Food Network Canada.
It is, yeah. It's doing really, really well. So we're actually just filming our 3rd season now. We just finished filming episode 11 yesterday. So this is actually a nice day to catch up with you guys because we're off from filming.
Excellent.
But it's going very well. It's being very well received in Canada and in the US as well. So it's on Food Network Canada, Cooking Channel in the US. It's also on Blaze TV in the UK. Just got picked up on Cosmopolitan TV in Spain. So yeah, we're making some progress with it. It's been really good, and it's a ton of fun to shoot. I mean, if anybody's seen the show, there's three chefs and 3 judges, and then myself as the host, and it's a barbecue battle the whole day. Everything's cooked on live fire, smoking, grilling, char, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into barbecue or even into just cooking live fire or interested in it at all, it's a great show to watch.
It really is, and I don't have Cooking Channel. I have I got on Food Network Canada's website, and I put my VPN on as Toronto, and I was able to watch some episodes.
Yeah. If you do that, you can watch everything that's aired already. So there should be 40 episodes up there that you can watch on demand.
But so much more than a host. I mean, you're a man of many talents. You have a shop in the Cayman Islands, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So I live in Cayman Islands in just outside of Georgetown, and I've been there for about 13 years now. So that's very much home. And I've got a private chef and catering company there, which is the bulk of the business that I do. So cooking for people that come down on vacation or, passing through. And then we opened a butcher shop last year, early 2019, just before the world fell to pieces. And that's been actually doing very, very well, so it's a lot of fun. It's a great place for hospitality, the Cayman Islands. So if anybody's ever down in that area, come look me up. The butcher shop's called Carnivore, and I'll throw some contact details and email and stuff like that. If anybody's ever coming down, we'd be happy to come cook for you.
I'll be down. Remember the Brazilian Bank Banco Nacional that used to be down there. So we used to come down then spend some time, Big Brack, Little Brack, do some snorkeling.
Yeah.
I have another reason to go out there. You'll see me trying to snorkel with a giant hide of bacon in my mouth. So
yeah, we can make that happen. You might attract some sharks that way, but
it's all right.
Well, when do you head back to Cayman?
So I'm heading back on September 10th.
All right,
so
Matty,
another couple of weeks up here.
We should head that way in a few weeks.
Yeah, man.
No, I'm in the wrong place. I'll be in the Bahamas.
Okay.
Okay, nice. What are you doing over there?
Absolutely nothing. That was my gift after our 18 months of misery to go to the Bahamas and sit on the beach and have people throw spears at me and try to go whaling. So
yeah,
my ultimate goal: cigar in hand. Grouper, some conch.
Yes.
And,
all the good stuff.
All right, I see Shad Bates. He's a great friend and a sponsor of the show. He's a big fan. Shad,
nice.
any questions for Chef Benoit? Definitely ask them. Anybody else? Any questions for the chef? Please ask. Okay, Shad already has one for us.
There we go.
Jesus, Shad, can you?
All right. What is the worst food you have had to try on the show?
I got a great story about this.
All right.
There was a gentleman that came and cooked last season, I think it was, and very eccentric character. And he did a swordfish dish for his first round. Great idea. Nice meaty fish, holds up really well on the grill, right? Can take a lot of flavors, can take some smoke. And so he was doing all kinds of work in what we call the Fire Masters Arena in the kitchen there, just running around like a madman for the full 30 minutes. And then when we get down to taste on his plate, he's got half of a raw tomato, cut in half, and a swordfish steak that's about an inch or an inch and a quarter thick, that's been seared on the top and the bottom and served essentially raw like a tataki. And this is a problem for 2 reasons. Number one, this is the Fire Masters Arena. You're surrounded by fire. You're supposed to be cooking things. Not that we're opposed to anything raw, but when your protein is raw, you've chosen the wrong dish for this arena. And the second thing is swordfish is not like tuna. It's not like salmon. It cannot be eaten raw, or it should not be eaten raw. Swordfish and those deep water fish, notorious for parasites and worms and things like that. If you cook it through to like a medium well, even get it up to a nice internal temperature, then you're pretty safe. But these are one of those fish that you don't want to be eating raw. And so the judges, most of them didn't even taste it, and he was sent home. So I guess it doesn't really answer the question though, because I wasn't able to eat it. So I haven't actually had to eat that, but it was certainly the worst thing that was ever served.
Wasn't such a good choice. I guess the reverse would be I bet you have a lot of great things you try. What's one of your favorites?
Any kind of steak, like if you cook a really well cooked, not a well done, but a really well cooked bone-in ribeye, I think is my absolute favorite. What we call either a tomahawk with the long bone or a cowboy steak with the bone in that's all French. I think that cooked really well over open fire. You get the fat kind of drips down. You get some of that smoke coming up and a really fantastic flavor. That with some mushrooms. We've had some really incredible like smoked mushroom polentas and things like that people have done, which are absolutely fantastic. And I have a very fond memory of a dish that one of the judges did in a final round one year, and it was roasted carrots, charred carrots. It was a side dish, and it had this like cranberry and Dijon sort of vinaigrette over top, and that was hands down the best carrot I've ever had in my entire life.
What made it so good? What did they do to it, you think?
I think it was what they didn't do to it, right? They just cooked it over live fire, lightly dressed with oil and some salt, and slowly roasted it to kind of draw out the natural sugars and natural sweetness in the carrots, and then had this sort of blistered fresh cranberry sauce, using fresh cranberries, not frozen or dried ones, which have a really pronounced tartness to them. They're astringently tart, but you balance it out with a touch of sugar and some mustard, to add a bit of acid, and it was fantastic. Really, really well done.
Excellent.
Just a simple dish.
And we've been so lucky to have so many great barbecue friends on Cigar Saturday, and Matty and I mean, I've seen several of these folks that I think we know that have been on your show. Some of them are from Canada, some of them are from the US. They're from all over that come on and compete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I think what Tom is goading you into is when everything gets better in the world is a barbecue challenge, Canada versus US. I think that's what you're saying, Tom.
We're gonna challenge. Yeah, I'll barbecue.
I've also been struck in the head many times. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go with, and that's what I've heard happening on Bourbon Blog Live.
Matty and I should have a grill off. Is what we should do. You and I should have a challenge. I'll bring the booze. We'll be pouring all kinds of bourbon and whiskey on, and just see what kind of fire we can get going.
That sounds fantastic. I'm there.
I'll buy off the judges with cigars as well too. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a really, really bad buy off. Wink, wink, slap in the back event, and I like it even more now. That really interests me. How do these the contestants? What do they have to go through to become a contestant? Do they have to go through preliminary round to where they're vetted, where somebody gets to be impressed by what they do, or what happens?
There's an application form when we do the casting call, and chefs apply. They kind of give a background of their history, photos of some of their dishes, why they like barbecue and cooking over live fire and things like that. And then they're I guess contacted by one of the casting team, and they do a video interview and conversations, so on and so forth. So when we do a season, it's 20 episodes with 3 contestants per episode. So there's it's fair few contestants that come in and compete over the season. So we're obviously closed for casting this year because we're already filming, but when it does happen again, I always post it up on my socials. So if there's anybody that's out there interested, they should come and contribute. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I think
Matty's getting warmed up already.
I think we're going to try it, Matty. I think we're going to see if they might consider us. Again, a little whiskey and cigars to talk them into it. But we can't come on and mess up anything like the swordfish.
No.
No,
You gotta
can't
cook.
do
Gotta
that.
cook your swordfish.
Got to cook that. There's Chef's website, dylanbenoit.com. You can find all his social media, a lot of other great videos, just all kinds of great stuff. And now, of course, you like all these things we like as well. Barbecue,
Yeah.
smokes. That's why it's your perfect guest for the show. Whiskey, have we, and I've watched several episodes. Have you been able to play with whiskey on the show? Has anybody done any sort of, what have you seen done, and what do you try? What do you do with whiskey when it comes to your own cooking?
You know, especially when I'm up here in Canada, it's a lot of wild mushrooms and things like that are the kind of flavors that I always revert back to, right? A lot of foraged ingredients. And so anytime I'm cooking mushrooms over a fire, it's usually with a little bit of garlic butter and deglaze with some bourbon or some whiskey, cook that down a little bit, and then this kind of natural sweetness comes out. So I think that's a really great application. Obviously, there's tons of sweet applications as well. At my shop, we've been doing this bacon bourbon caramel for desserts and things like that. We've done bourbon barbecue sauces all the time. So I think whiskey in general is very well suited to barbecue and cooking for a number of reasons. It just kind of makes sense. But yeah, in the pantry on the show, we've got a whole cart full of different alcohols and beverages, and so the competitors usually get in there pretty liberally sometimes to cook, not to drink, of course.
They're not sipping. They wait till a little bit after to try it out. But I mean, bourbon is. I mean, it's the caramels. It's the char already in the barrel. There's so many reasons why bourbon works. Do you play around with rye? Any other? I mean, have you found one type of whiskey works better for different types of meats? Have you?
I find that a lot of the times, by the time you add the bourbon into something or whiskey into something, those more sort of delicate notes of vanilla and caramel and this amount of toast kind of get lost. You're not necessarily, although they're there, you're not able to differentiate between, this one was a rye and this one was a bourbon or whatever by the time you get it cooked into something. More so along, with the pairing to drink something like that with your meal is where I find you get a little bit more of the different notes out of it. So,
yes. We are again live with Chef Dylan Benoit. Anyone, a lot of more people watching now on Twitter. Thank you for sharing this on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. If you do take a moment and like and share this both, we watch always who likes and shares it. You'll have a chance to win that bourbon barrel-aged coffee that Shad Bates does so well at Janus Coffee Roasters. We'll make sure you get some of that too, Dylan.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big coffee fan.
It's amazing stuff.
Look at my fancy mug here that I'm drinking out of. That's for decaf. Yeah, that's what's up.
Very nice.
We got this sexy guy in the.
There's Sanj. What's happening,
what's up, Sanj? How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm busy as hell right now.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, my friend. That's a good problem to have.
It's 8 o'clock, so we're a little calmer then. Right now, time.
Yeah. That's good though.
What's hostess? I prefer him in that little cocktail dress, but it's never really about what I want. So
that's okay.
He usually
maybe for your birthday. Yeah.
Before the show. What are you smoking, Sanj?
Section 8, baby.
Ah, yes. I love those. I've really been enjoying those.
Yeah, good.
They're really good.
So we'll send you more.
Thank you.
No, you're only getting dot heads and snake charmers because # not racist.
Anything you want.
Thank you. No, they're all so good. He's doing a great job with those Section 8s.
Good. Chef, you smoke?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna send
you. Doing a little Hoyo epicure today.
I'm gonna send you some stuff.
We're making you up a bag there, brother.
That would be fantastic.
Nice.
I can't wait to get it.
Good.
That'd be great. Thank you, Sanj.
Thanks, Sanj.
Got to go shake his thing for the guests. This is bullshit.
Yeah. Keep him coming back.
That's right. Well, we're glad to be chatting with you now. Okay, Shad is actually asking coffee and dry rubs. What do you think? I mean, it can work. What have you seen done with it? What have you tried?
I think dry rubs are an incredible tool, an incredible asset for a barbecue chef or a chef in general, right?
Yeah.
However, they can also be overpowering. So you have to know your flavor combinations, and also the ratio of rub to meat is very important, especially when you're using something so strongly flavored as coffee, right? Or cocoa or something like that. We see it from time to time in the arena. I use rubs in my personal cooking, I would say on like rarely. Anytime I'm doing barbecue or like briskets or ribs or anything like that, more so. But very rarely do I put rubs on, say, a steak or anything like that. A bit of a purist with that kind of stuff, just like salt and maybe some pepper. And then I'll usually flavor the steak with a sauce at the end, as opposed to adding a rub or an aggressive seasoning. So the sort of exception to that would be steak spice. I make a steak spice that we sell at Carnivore, similar to a Montreal steak spice, but we use smoked salt, like hickory smoked salt as the base, and then whole coriander that's been ground, so it's got some nice texture, garlic powder, chili, and that's a really, really nice seasoning for a steak. Those flavors just pair so well together.
Nice.
And that'd be really good on a brisket now that I'm thinking about it. I've never done it, but putting that rub on there and then smoking a brisket would be unreal.
That'd be serious stuff.
That'll be part of our barbecue challenge. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
We'll
Love
put
it.
all the ingredients in.
Joe, are you listening? I'm just saying, if you're not listening.
Putting it out there. Put it out there in the world.
Now, when you think about barbecue being so popular in the USA, of course, Southern barbecue, Memphis, whatever style it might be. What do barbecue joints look like in Canada? I've only spent a little time in Canada. What's the barbecue culture like? How is it different there?
I would say it's very similar most places to a Texas barbecue, right? Briskets and ribs. It's more that kind of classic Texas style barbecue sauce. You find some places that will lean a little bit more to the Carolina barbecue style, where it's more vinegar and mustard and things like that, which I love. I mean, those flavor profiles just cut through a rich pork, like pulled pork or ribs or something like that, so well. But Canada's always been a very multicultural place, right? There's food from all over the world here, and so you can find all different types of barbecue. As far as it's Canada's own type of like sort of spin on barbecue, I'm sure that it exists, and maybe there's somebody out there who knows a little bit more about this than I do, that would be willing to contribute or mention a couple barbecue joints that we could kind of look up after. But now that I live down in the Cayman Islands, I've been 13 years down there, so I'm not as up to date on the individual shops and things like that, these hot spots of what's happening in the Canadian scene. I know down in the islands, it's very influenced by Caribbean flavors, Jamaica, right? So it's a lot of jerk and smoke and pimento and Scotch bonnet and those types of things. Yeah. And there's a few places doing some barbecue stuff that's a little out of the ordinary. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's so versatile when you start talking about barbecue. It really is. Obviously, you have purists that are like, no, barbecue is this and barbecue is that. But if you're a little bit creative and play it a little fast and loose, you can do some really unique things. And still kind of color within those lines.
Yes. All right, another question from a fan watching on YouTube. Thank you, Kenny. Dylan, your thoughts on wood pellet grills versus charcoal for us backyard warriors?
Well, that's a good question. I think they both have a place. Wood pellets are obviously a little bit more convenient, right? Easier. They come already packaged. It's ready to go. You throw it in the smoker. The smoker heats up, usually like an electric smoker, and then you're off to the races quite quickly. However, you do sort of sacrifice a few things when you go the route of an electric smoker. Super convenient, super easy, very clean compared to charcoal. You're not dealing with so much ash and all those things. Right. But you miss the flavor of the charcoal. There's a natural smoke that comes out of that, as well as whatever wood you're putting in there. So I think that's kind of important. And if you're really getting into it, let me backtrack for a second. I think an electric pellet smoker is a good place to start for people. They're usually quite affordable, and they're usually pretty compact. You can get ones that are the size of a small garbage can. And if you're only doing a couple racks of ribs or, half a brisket or something like that, it's a really good place to start. If you find that you're really getting into it, I would say take the leap and get something that's charcoal or even live fire powered, right? With a smoker box, that kind of offset. And then that way you have a lot more control over the type of woods you want to use, how big the pieces are, how long the smokes are. This is I get the same question all the time with people about wood chips or wood chunks, right? And it's the same thing. They both serve a different purpose, but if you're really doing a 15-hour smoke on a brisket, you can't use wood chips. You need logs, right? You need something that's going to burn for an hour or 2 hours, and then you come back and refill it the next hour later. So to answer the question, I think they both serve a purpose. I would say the electric pellet smoker is good for when you're starting to ramp up and get into it. A little easier to learn the ropes. But then if you really want to step your game up, I would go charcoal, and you've got a little bit more option and flexibility when it comes to the woods you want to use and how that smoke reacts with the meats or veggies.
Nice, very nice. If you were going to go head to head, I mean, you host the show, but if you were going to be challenged against someone in the barbecue world, who would you like to go head to head with?
That's a good question. I just had a thought before we move on to that about charcoal specifically. Yeah. I get asked a lot as well about briquettes or lump charcoal. And if for people that may not know the exact difference, the briquettes are the ones that come perfectly square, right? And usually like a Kingford or something like that. The ones that have the lighter fluid inside where you just light it and it lights up. I always recommend that people stay away from those, especially when you're cooking with it. It's great for a bonfire to get things going, but those are, held together by all kinds of different binders. There's various chemicals and stuff in there, which then that flavor translates into your food, right? And you're burning that stuff off, and that's not really something you want to ingest. I always recommend people go with lump charcoal. It takes more work. It takes more time. You've got to start the fire. It's got to burn down until it gets to a nice cooking temperature, but it's just pure wood, right? At the base of it all. And you end up with a far superior product and better tasting food in the end. So that's my note on charcoal.
Nice.
But as far as going head to head against somebody, in the barbecue world, I have the honor of working with a few incredible people on the show from that sort of barbecue sphere. Some sort of Hall of Famers and literal Hall of Famers and dynasty type folks like Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue,
yes.
Kevin Bloodsoe from LA, Texas, right? Bloodsoe's Barbecue, Amy Mills from 17th Street, right? Andy Husbands out of the Smoke Shop in Boston, even Hugh Mangum from Mighty Quinns, New York, and he's all over the world now. So, these are serious folks. I'm not sure I'd want to go up against any of them. I think if in a competition setting, I wouldn't want to go up against any of them. I would love to go and I'd love to hang out with them and just cook and drink whiskey and drink beers. But I think if I was going to go for go somewhere and have a cook with somebody or to learn from one of these people in a restaurant setting, as far as like how to produce this stuff and feed the masses and do it in a way where quality is your top priority and everything is hitting the plate and in an almost mind boggling nature. I think Andy Husbands in the Smoke Shop, what they're doing up there, and there's several locations. He's a great guy, amazing food. So Andy's he's a good guy that I'd like to, spend some time in his kitchen and learn from him a bit. But as far as going and hanging out with somebody and just literally drinking whiskey or Hennessy in this case would be Kevin Bloodsoe, man. Hanging out with Kevin is just a riot. He is the funniest guy I know, of one of them anyways. And he's very Southern, very, just takes his time, does it the right way. And he's just a guy you want to hang out with and eat barbecue.
And he likes his Hennessy then.
He's a Hennessy guy for sure.
Fan. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, cognac barbecue can go.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's all barrel aged as well, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of synergies and parallels there. But I tried to get him on some Japanese whiskey the other day. He took a sip and he was like, "That's good, that's good." I was like, "You want a top up?" He was like, "No," and just pours his own Hennessy. He's a man, who knows what he likes.
How's that pairing with the Toki with your stick? Is that tasting good?
It's really nice. I like this Toki because it's really light as far as a whiskey goes, especially a Japanese whiskey. Light in color, but not light in flavor. It's got an inherent sweetness to it, which I think isn't always the right pairing. But in this case, it's dangerously crushable. Yeah. And I found that out last week with another bottle. I sat down and had some drinks here with some of the crew after we finished filming. Woke up in the morning and I wasn't feeling so good. I was like, man, I only had 3 drinks out on the patio, and I looked and I had drinking half of a bottle to myself, and it catches up with you pretty quick. You don't notice
smooth. It's easy.
Large drinks. You told the truth.
Yeah, large drinks. There were 3 drinks, but they were full. And there was nothing else in it.
As I take my roll from Johnny and Hanji, so I'll have to listen seriously through you guys and the adult beverages on that.
I've never even heard of that place. What's that chain all about? That shop all about?
If you're a burger and a hot dog guy, So it's part of like some of the legendary New Jersey, New York area hot dog. Like there's Rutt's Hut. And when you hear Rutt's Hut, like I said, my joke is everyone said, we know why you live where you live, because oddly, you're 6 miles in any direction from any of these places. So Rutt's Hut is right over here, which is famous for the hot dogs. Johnny and Hanges is literally in the other direction, a few miles. The Goffle Grill. And then if you're a burger guy, White Man is literally 6 miles or less in the direction. So like where I live, if you need a hamburger and hot dog crawl, that would be the ultimate hamburger and hot dog crawlers. They're all right here.
You know what? I think that's what we should do when I come to see you.
Yeah.
I actually just came from, before this call, I came from Toronto. I was down there for the night, and I was with my brother, who's a chef as well. And he and I are doing some research for a project, and we did a little Chinese food tour, but authentic regional Chinese. So we were having, various noodles and dumplings and sandwiches from these regions. So I just came off a similar but different tour earlier this afternoon, and I love those types of things when you go to a different place, like New York or anywhere where we've done a lot of traveling in Asia. Love soup dumplings. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I've been to Shanghai. Yeah.
All right. So I have a place for you in New Jersey. And people look at me and they get mad. Tom's laughing because he's heard people come on. I'm like, look, there's a place by me called Truly Sichuan that the soup dumplings are pretty much as good as Joe Shanghai. And like, there's been like threats in my life made until I've taken these people there, and they're like,
no, this is actually pretty good.
I don't want to say it out loud, but these soup dumplings are on par. And old school, you're getting old. It's only pork soup dumplings, nothing else.
Yeah.
But, that'll be another place when you're in my backyard you have to hit. And as you see, I'm not dead yet, so you can tell it's pretty much on the money. Yeah.
People have they've taken your word as gospel after they had that.
Yep, I got to live for another day, so they're
We'll have to get you guys to come down to Cayman, and I'll take you on a sort of Caribbean food tour.
Oh man.
Oh, I never
would love that.
Be done, man.
Yeah. No, that would be
some curried goat, some oxtail, ackee and saltfish.
Come on, maybe I'll some ackee and saltfish. Bye.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Right now, some Jamaicans going, man, me hear you, bomba clot. Stop.
Yeah. That's breakfast. That's breakfast of champions down there.
All right, this next question, it could be for Matty, but I think it's for Dylan. That glorious beard, what the hell do you feed that thing?
I don't know. What am I putting in this thing? You know what? This is just a lack of, or a dedication to laziness is really all it is. It gets I leave it alone until it gets so wily that I can't go out in public, and then I'll throw a trim on it. But very little maintenance on this. But you know what I started using in it, which is kind of fun for these kids. So, it's actually a tattoo bomb. It's like a tattoo aftercare stuff that's got like coconut oil and jojoba oil and all this kind of stuff, and it's perfect. It smells great, gets all the nice oils in there, and that's pretty much it. Throw a slab of that in the morning and get on with the day. What about you, Matty?
Matty, same question.
So I use so you remember the wrestler Gene Snitsky? So Snitsky made beard oil. So Gene, you're the Snitsky beard oil. We've had Snitsky as a guest, so I religiously use Snitsky stuff, and this is trimmed down. We've seen the longer version that about a year ago when I decided to dip it in a sweatshirt, and really wasn't one of my finer days. So we trimmed down a bit after the sweatshirt episode.
I don't think the question's for me as well, but usually it's just whiskey, but it misses my beer, just goes in the mouth. So
there you go.
That's all.
That's
all I need. Right?
Powered by whiskey.
Powered by whiskey. You got it. As far as you're looking at, and of course, for the last, you've been at the show, 3 years now?
Yeah, this is our third year doing it, which is, it's great. It's always fantastic when you get the call, hey, we're going again. We're doing another season, and after COVID, and there were a lot of really prominent shows that didn't get that renewal. So the fact that we did was great. And a testament to how well it's doing, nationally and internationally. So it's awesome, man. I have so much fun doing it. It takes a couple of weeks in the summer, and I get to come hang out in Canada. This is where my family is, and the weather's beautiful. Shoot some shows, hang out with some chefs, and then head back to the island. So it's a pretty good gig.
I don't know, Tom. What do you think? Maybe we just did a charity event for the late great Carl Ruiz.
That's right.
Personal like a brother. So we just did that. We might have to get you to come to that event. So it's Ed
I
Randolph.
love that.
Place
That'd be awesome.
You know who Tank Johnson is? So
Yep.
Tank, big for us. Tank, if you're watching, what's up, dog? You will be soon. I think that sounds like a plan. What do you think?
I'd love to have him.
I'm in.
Bastard. I just have people commit to stuff. They're like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
You're live.
And now it's live, so it's got to happen. Yeah.
No, it was 2 weeks ago today we did that in Newburgh, New York. We had a great time, raised some great funds for that wonderful cause, Carl Ruiz's foundation. And man, we had some amazing barbecue, that whole hog, great whiskey, great smokes. That was dynamic. Really nice.
That's very cool.
We had a really good
I love
time.
events like that, you know, getting a lot of good like-minded people together and just celebrating life and food and drinks. And, you know, we have a few food festivals down in Cayman, and I always look forward to that time of the year when you get together with people and just break bread, eat good food.
Yes. Any trends you're noticing the last couple of years or even now that in the world of grilling, of barbecue, of meats that you're seeing that are making it onto tables, be it in restaurants or in homes? What are you seeing as far as trends go?
For sure. I mean, I think for a number of reasons, and COVID certainly helped with this, people are really getting outside and cooking a lot more with their grills and with their smokers, and in a more sort of invested capacity, in that they're not just firing it up and cooking burgers and steaks, right? They're learning how to do things like smoked ribs and briskets and, you know, longer things that take several hours or even overnight to cook. And I think this is fantastic. You know, I've always said that being able to cook for yourself and feed yourself and your family is one of those great skills that everybody should have. And if you take pride in it and you enjoy doing it, it makes it all that much more fun and interesting. So that would be the preface of, you know, these techniques like reverse sear, getting big cuts of meat, cooking them in direct heat, warming them slowly, right? Before then cooking them on high heat for a quick sear and then off to the plate. What's the benefit of this? Well, several. If you get a steak that's an inch, more than an inch, whether it's an inch or inch and a half, 2 inches, if you try and cook that on direct heat the whole time, I always explain it to people that you're going to get well done, medium well, medium, little bit of medium rare, and then it starts going well done again, right? Whereas if you do a reverse sear, essentially you're taking half hour, 40 minutes to bring this up to temperature, like a little bit under where you want it. And then you quick hard sear. And then when you cut it open, it's evenly cooked all the way through. So you have a more consistent cook, a better cook, and you can get a really nice crust on the outside.
Oh,
so those types of things. And, you know, people are starting to get more into sous vide as well, which can be beneficial, especially if you're doing big cuts like that, cooking that sous vide and then finishing it on the grill. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do. And people are starting to not only, you know, a lot of people care a lot more now about where their food comes, right? They're aware. So they want to know, is this not necessarily organic, but is it local, or where did it come from? How are these animals treated? How are these vegetables raised? Is this carrot from California or Cambridge, you know, 10 minutes away?
Right.
And so I'm finding the same thing is now, and this has been happening over the last decade or even 2 decades. But now people are starting to get into the same headspace with the cooking techniques. They're spending more time. They care more about what they're putting in their body and how it's prepared, as opposed to just slapping it on a grill or banging it in the microwave and calling that dinner.
Right. Oh yeah. No, and they are. And I'm always tell you, we've talked about meats, and I love the way those carrots sound. Those sound amazing.
Yeah.
For you, I'm always looking for some, you know, sides that really will impress me. I mean, everyone has their own take on mac and cheese, the potato salads, the greens. Any particular sides recipes that you've created that you have or that you use whenever you're doing your as a personal chef for your events? What are some of your favorite tips, some of your favorite recipes for sides?
I did a demo the other day and about potato salad. So it's funny you mentioned that. Potato salad's classic, right? Everybody loves potato salad. But how do you make it interesting? How do you make it delicious? How do you make it more than just a potato salad, right? And so what I started doing was sweet potato salads, okay? Right? It adds a nice little sweetness, beautiful color. You get this bright orange. And that's all fine and good, but then eventually you get sick of that as well. So how do we amplify that? And I started smoking the potatoes. So you cut your potatoes into a medium dice, whatever size you're going to do. You cook them off in the water, and then you throw them in the smoker for about 15, 20 minutes. Get a nice kind of aroma in there, and then fold that into your potato salad. It changes the whole dynamic, especially with sweet potato. Because now you've got smoke, sweetness, the richness from the mayo and the mustard and everything else. It really changes the game.
having a little of that smoky element before you is a surprise, and it actually will complement the barbecue nicely. I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, no, it works out really well.
Yeah.
Bacon side. Now, when you smoke potatoes, my interest hones right back in. You know, favorite vegetable, side vegetable, I'm like bacon. You're like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, you
got my
throw some,
attention.
yeah, you can throw some bacon in there. Nothing wrong with that.
A little of that candied bacon. Yeah. Well, I'll give you the website once again. Everybody who's watching, thank you for watching us. And again, take another moment and like and share this video as you're watching it on the early edition of Cigar Saturday. DylanBenoit.com. That's where to find Chef Dylan Benoit, everything he does. Some great videos of you traveling too. You have some great videos of you traveling. Some of the writings you've done. You love travel too. I mean, you get a lot of great places.
Love to travel. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough in my life and my career to travel to many places, and I feel like that's one thing that everybody should do in their life, whether you can do it early or late. It opens your eyes. It makes you more sort of aware of not only the world, but of other people and their way of life, their way of thinking, their culture, their food. And even if that's not the way that you want to live or the food that you necessarily want to eat forever, it just makes you aware that there are other people outside of your town or your city or your state or your country, right? It kind of opens your eyes and gives you the sort of education that you can't really get anywhere else. And even if the language barrier is something that's difficult to overcome at certain points, we all speak the same language of food, right? Different ingredients, different dishes, different cooking techniques. But when you sit down with somebody or a group of people, even if you don't speak the same language, you're eating the same dish. It's like, oh, this is good, or it's not. This is spicy. This is, and there's a lot of, you can relate very clearly to people by sharing a meal with them. And I think that that's super important, right? It kind of shows that above or below everything else, if you strip away nationality and race and religion and whatever else you believe in or identify with, at the end of the day, we all eat, we all love good food, and that's something that we can all sort of agree on. And in these days, especially, I think that's more important than ever.
Yeah, the food.
The best way to go is walk up to someone and they have no idea. J'adore bacon. Oui, aussi. And you're good.
And you're good to go. That's it. Yeah.
I entirely agree.
That one tends to work out well for you when you're traveling, huh, Matty?
Especially when you're on in the French Canadian side of Canada, which
oh yeah,
they're like, oh, tous habitez les États-Unis. I'm like, oui, j'adore bacon.
Yeah,
bacon.
Bacon. We all love bacon. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you
forget about everything else. Yeah.
Right? You just have to figure out all those things. Like, I'm like, Senor, yo quiero empanadas. Like, empanadas? How Espanol? Yo quiero, see? Perfect. We're friends. So you know how to have all those proper keywords for your interaction.
That's it. Yeah. All you need is a few of those words and you can get along.
Yes. Now, as we're looking towards your next season of Fire Masters, anything you can tease forward to? Any little anything that we can let the fans know that we're going to be seeing that they're going to enjoy?
Well, we're in a new location this year, which is cool. We're on a new set. It's going to look very similar. The aesthetic is the same, but we're in a new location. So there's some kind of switch ups that come along with moving from where we were filming and to where we are now. So it's going to be very similar. It's the same, but 2.0, if you will. And I'm really excited about that because we've done 40 episodes so far, and then we're doing another 20 episode block. So if we had 60 episodes that were all in the same location with the same sort of format, then that's great. I mean, it's obviously doing well and people relate to it. So that's fantastic. But, giving it a fresh coat of paint, so to speak, I think is only going to improve the quality of the show and spike the interest of the viewers, new and old. So I think that's super exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all comes together and how the viewers relate to it.
Excellent. And again, if you don't for some reason have the cooking channel or you're not in Canada for Food Network, you can go on to foodnetwork.ca and you can watch all the episodes that have aired thus far, the new episodes, or watch on Cooking Channel or you said also the ones in UK. Tell us those again.
Yeah, it's Blaze TV in the UK. I'm not sure if it's still on the air now, but they had a big barbecue week that they were promoting last year. So I know it was on the air there, and it's probably on like a rerun cycle now. And Cosmopolitan TV in Spain. If we have anybody in Spain that's tuned in, or if anybody tuned in knows people in Spain, then have them. They're airing that right now for sure. They just started a couple of weeks ago. So pretty exciting to see that we're in new territories, and you get to hear my voice dubbed over in Spanish by a really masculine, like telenova type of personality. Bienvenidos a Maestros de la Parrilla. It's pretty funny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
have you just for that? Sounds like those kung fu movies.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dylan,
have you?
Yeah, totally like that.
Have you got to meet this guy that's doing the dubbing?
I haven't yet. I'd love to. I'd love to go and have some barbecue and a drink with him, a glass of wine over there in Spain. Yeah,
it sounds like so. We need to get some more. As far as searching for bourbon, some places in Canada, you're finding some selection, but we need a little bit more bourbon there for you.
Yeah, no, there is a great selection of bourbons and whiskeys in general here in Canada. Unfortunately, the town that I'm in is just about an hour outside of Toronto, and they had the usuals, the heavy hitters, you know what I mean? But certainly nothing outside of the regular circle of expectation. So instead of getting a bottle of Jim Beam or Makers, I felt like I would stick with the Japanese for today.
So good. Those Japanese whiskeys are so good. Of course, so many are getting harder and harder to find. Some of the Speakeys, the Yamazakis, I know being appreciated by Canadians, those of us in the U.S. But the Toki is nice stuff. I like that one. I think it's great by itself. It's great in a cocktail or a highball. It's really nice stuff.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing as far as like kind of trends and stuff in the bourbon world or whiskey world down there in the States? Because I know a lot of a couple of years ago, a lot of them were being aged in old wine casks and things like that. Right? Are they still doing that type of stuff? What's happening now?
Sherry barrel finishes, wine barrel finishes are becoming bigger and bigger. There's some brands that are actually, as far as now with bourbon, when you put it into a secondary barrel, we technically think of the Breckenridge PX as a bourbon or the Angel's Envy as a bourbon, but they literally are a straight bourbon finished in another cask, which we love. There are some whiskeys, though. There's a new single malt called Courage and Conviction by Virginia Distilling Company that's just aging fully. They're American single malt, fully in used sherry barrels, used cuvee barrels from Spain and Portugal, and then they're blending them together, and those are really nice too.
Oh,
I think the full aging, not just secondary barrel, but primary barrel aging is big. I think that barrel proof is becoming bigger and bigger. I mean, obviously, everyone who watches this knows I love the Peerless, and the rye and the bourbon both are barrel proof, but I think you're going to see more and more barrel proof, higher proof bourbons. I think people are appreciating those more with food, with cocktails, with cigars. Those are a couple trends. I think we'll see more and more single malt American whiskeys coming on too, and more brands trying those.
Nice. And that was a big trend, or always has. Not really a trend. It's been a sort of a foundation of rums for a long time, right? Like barrel proof rums. That was always been a big thing.
Those overproof rums. I love those higher proof rums.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Plantation.
Ray and Nephew 151.
Oh, the tiki drinks, all those are. I think going to continue to grow. Rum's really grown a lot. So many things, and I'm going to make sure I send you some bourbon, Chef. We're going to make sure we send you some of our very favorites too.
I think since we're talking about barrel aged stuff, Chef, I don't know if you've had them yet, but there's a barrel aged Happy Van.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I haven't.
They're so good.
Happy Van Winkle together. So if you hadn't had that, I'm going to make sure that's in your package. It's something you're really going to dig.
Yeah,
I would love that. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I've tasted a couple of the Pappies over the years, but I certainly haven't had that one. I've never even seen it.
I got to send some of those sticks. And we smoked the other 2 weeks ago when we were together. We smoked the Quattro Cincos. So you get the barrel age that's on the.
Oh yes, those are so good too.
Nice.
We'll put in some interesting stuff so you get those nuances of the barrel age experience in those sticks.
For sure, that'd be fantastic. And that's the thing, down in Cayman we have mostly access to Cuban cigars, right? Which are great, and they're that, right, and they're very pure in their style and quality, but they don't really mess around with any of the sort of more creative things of barrel aging this or I guess what I'm trying to say is in the States, you guys have a lot more selection of interesting things to smoke that aren't just pure cigars for the sake of a cigar.
Right. When you're in Cuba, obviously you get all the puros and everything else that's right into all the Cuban tobacco. And as you've seen over the years, as good as Cuban tobacco and Cuban cigars are, kind of the quality control over the last 10 to 12 years kind of dipped a bit. So even if you get a whole box of Bejiques, and like I said, you know, a great Bejique is amongst one of the best cigars, bar none, in the world. But I'm sure you've seen your fair share of a couple of plug cigars. And I know the taxes now on tobacco up in Canada. So if you're going to drop, you know, $80 or $70 in a Bejique, the last thing that you want is for it to either be canoeing or you want an
right.
And you know, I've seen it happening more and more. And it's definitely here between the Nicaraguan cigars and Dominican and all the different mixtures, you know, Mexican and using Matafinas and everything else. So you really see exactly what you said. There's a lot more use of different type of tobaccos that we get from all of our friends throughout the world. So yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's cool to see that that you know that industry is also starting to think outside the box more and more and get creative and do different things, right? But yeah, I agree. And even the times that I've been over in Cuba, you're buying smokes, like you almost have to go with somebody that's in the industry there, and not because, I mean, there's certain telltale signs when you're looking at a cigar and things like that. But when you're over there, even their shitty leaf and wrapper looks great, right? So it's not until you light one up and you buy a box of something. And the worst thing is I have tons of friends that do it, that have, it's happened to them as well, because they go over there like, oh, I'm in Cuba, I'm going to buy a box of cigars and take it back. They come back and they give me one. I light it up. I'm like, oh man, you got hosed. This whole box is like, yeah, these are
really good Dominican cigar. You're like, no, wait, it says Cuban. It's like, yeah, no, but I'm telling you, you're smoking a pretty good Dominican cigar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to ship a bag of bands and just stick them on whatever sticks you've got kicking around. And unfortunately, that stuff happens all the time, right? It's an easy way for people to make a buck if they're not concerned about giving you some inferior quality stuff. So
yeah, you know that's the biggest thing when you're on the road a lot and you travel a lot. The face that you always make when that one person comes back to go, Matt, I was in the islands, and then you see the ... go, and then you bought a box of Cuban cigars. Like, how did you know? I'm like, you should put down your head now and look sad before what I'm telling you. Like, have the sad look now so you don't have to do it later. Then you the head dip, the look of shame. But they told me it was Cuban. I'm like, dude, you know, there's Santa Claus, there's leprechauns, there's the Easter that we could talk about. Now that you're disappointed when it's not real, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just and it's good to talk about these kinds of things, although it sucks because a lot of people, they don't know, right? And they go on a trip and they're super excited and they get a box of, you know, Cohibas or Monte Cristos, and it's, instead of $20 a stick, it's $40 for a box, and they're like, oh, this is a great deal. And unfortunately, they're just getting suckered. But
just make sure they don't knock off the snake charmer.
Yeah.
No, Sandra would have a couple of contractors down there to take care of that. No.
Well, but this is my point. You're a reputable retailer, right? And this is the thing. I equate buying cigars to buying watches, in that I only buy from a reputable dealer, right? I buy a Panerai from a reputable authorized dealer. I don't buy it secondhand on the internet. I don't buy it from a guy that's like, oh, I threw the box and papers away years ago. Like, no, I don't want it, bro. Because I've been to Hong Kong and I've seen some of those, and not the ones on the street. Let me tell you a story. I was in Hong Kong. I was looking at these watches, and they're all like Rollies and whatever, Rolexes and whatever else. And this is street level. When the guy comes over, he's like, you want to buy a watch? I was like, no, man. I'm about 100% sure that these are not real. And he's like, no, you're right. They're not real. They're knockoffs. But if you want something, and they're not trying to hide it because they're fucking $50 Rolexes on the street.
Right.
But then he's like, if you want something a little better, come with me. And he takes me upstairs, like through these alleyways, knock on a door. The thing slides open. You see some eyes, it closes back, and then they let you in. And I've been inside these rooms where they have, it's an entire boutique of all knockoff watches that are as good as, or that appear to be as good as a real one. And you hold it in your hand. I'm wearing one, and I have the exact same model from their boutique next to me, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, if you don't know, then you're not going to know. And it's sure, this is a couple $100 now, but if you don't buy it from somebody you know, or a reputable person, it's easy for somebody to go to Hong Kong, spend now $200 on a knockoff, and then go and sell it for $6,000 when they get back to the States or back to Cayman or Canada.
You notice when you open up the watch, like, this is real. I'm like, I never knew there were 3 L's in a tourbillon. Huh.
Yeah. Or my favorite's like, yeah, look at and then you see the second hand goes tick, 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 tick. I'm like, when was the last time you had to change the battery on this? He's like, 6 months ago. I'm like, your Rolex isn't real, bud.
That was my favorite thing probably of all time. So I could tell you're a watch guy, so you'll appreciate this. So the only Rolex ever, right, to ever use a quartz was the Cellini. And I think it was 1 year. And then everybody at Rolex put their heads down like, we should never do this again. I put my head in shame. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, dude, you'll never believe. I was over in Kowloon, and I'm just like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, funk. And he goes, dude, check this out. Feel the thing. I'm like, hey, here's your first telltale sign, watch guy. It says quartz under the 6, you idiot.
Yeah.
I'm like, there was this one time, and like literally, there was this one time. I'm like, he's like, so you're saying this wasn't worth $600? I'm like, dude, really? I'm like, they didn't see you from across the street. They saw you like at the airport and ran to. I'm like, you actually bought a Rolex that has the word quartz on it. I'm like,
hook, line, and sinker.
Shamed I am for you. And he's just like, hey, you want to buy a watch? Like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Chef Dylan Benoit, again, that website that you want to check out, dylanbenoit.com. And Chef, thank you. It's so good to have you here with us. Can't wait to spend some time with you. Well, we'll get you to Newburgh, New York next year for our event. We'll be watching Cooking Channel, Food Network Canada, all those places to see your show. Any other events you'll be doing in person? Anything coming up you're looking forward to?
Not a lot, unfortunately. I was doing a few kind of the festival circuits, doing like culinary stages and things like that, obviously pre-COVID. So hoping that things get back to normal a little bit and we can start doing that, which will be a little more traveling around in the US, and hopefully we can meet some of the viewers who are out there watching. But as for now, I've got a small event in Barrie, Ontario next week, doing a little kind of co-hosting thing for a charity food event, which is going to be great. And then I fly back to Cayman after that. But we'll be doing Cayman Cookout in late January this year, which is a great event if anybody's ever been down there before. Nice. So we'll be in and out of some of the events there. And then we did our first Rib Fest this year at Carnivore in July, on July 4th weekend. Yeah, which was great. We had a great time. So we'll be going bigger and better and badder next year. So if anybody is looking for an event to kind of center their trip around in Cayman early July, then come down and hang out at Rib Fest next year.
That'll be Rib Fest next year. And of course, anytime you're there, look up Carnivore. It's there in Cayman as well, right?
Yeah, Carnivore Premium Meats. We're Cayman's really only high-end butcher shop. And we're right in Camana Bay, which is kind of like one of the hubs there of shopping and dining and lifestyle and things like that. Come by, grab a steak or a sandwich, a burger, something like that. And if you can check out the website that Tom put up there, or our other website is primegroup.ky. That's a private chef and catering company. So even if you just want to look at some pretty pictures of food while you're sitting there enjoying your smoke and your bourbon tonight, go check that out.
Primegroup.ky, right there, right?
Yep. And carnivorecayman.ky as well, if anybody wants to check out the butcher shop's website. Or no, sorry, it's just carnivore.ky. My apologies.
Carnivore.ky. There's that one. Carnivore.ky.
That's the one. Yeah.
Be sure you check out all the great work that Chef does. His shop, check out his TV show and all his travels, his adventures. Chef, it's great. I know we've talked several times virtually. It's great to finally have you on here and to have a stick and a sip with you. And we'll definitely have you back on here and send you some sticks and some whiskey. All kind of great stuff. And we had a lot of people sharing this, a lot of fans of Fire Master sharing this tonight. Pick a number between 1 and 42. That'll be the winner of that coffee, will be the number we have assigned randomly to some different folks that shared this.
Okay, the number will be 33.
All right, number 33 for that special bourbon coffee from Janus Coffee Roasters. Again, there's the link that you want to check out. It's Mark Turner. Mark, you won. Thanks for sharing us on Twitter.
Congrats, Mark.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will we'll also be putting this up on all of our podcast audio channels wherever you listen to your audio on. Chef,
Beautiful.
thank you, Matty. Thank you, Matty. Do we know what's happening next week?
Much love, peeps. We got a couple people in the hopper, so stay tuned during the week. I will figure out who I have scheduled for next weekend. So keep your eye out on our sites, guys, and you'll see who next week guest especial is.
Nice, Chef.
Awesome.
Chef Benoit, thank you so much. Matty, Sanj, much love, everybody.
Guys, thank you so much for having me, and thanks to everybody for tuning in, checking this out, and check out the show. Appreciate you guys. Cheers, lads.
Thanks, Chef. Appreciate it.
Oh, peace.
Have a good one.
Thanks.